Hi, this is Brittany Matheson, and I am going to share with you how I have redesigned a social studies unit for my fourth grade students using a Hyperdoc. So first I want to talk a little bit about the actual curriculum that I use in my classroom. Um, the social studies curriculum that we use in fourth grade focuses on the 5 regions of the United States. The textbook that we use is from 1997. It's 20 years old. It's not the best resource that we have available these days, especially being a one-to-one device classroom. A lot of the information within the book is outdated. The visuals in it are outdated for the most part, not all of them, but a lot of them just look old and the kids can't really relate to them. And the lessons are really long and the kids have a hard time reading them on their own. We don't have a lot of time each day for social studies. So the kids have a hard time getting through each lesson. So I tend to read the sections for them, and it's just some of the content, it's not relatable for the kids. It can be drawn out and boring, and they just don't pay really good attention to it. So being a textbook, the majority of it is text-based. There are visuals in it. Like I said, some of them are dated. Not all of them. It is mostly, geography that we're focusing on. So, a lot of the geographical pictures are fine, and there are a lot of historical pictures that are included, and those are always fine. But, pictures of the people, you can tell they're from the mid 90s, and there's references to technology in there that is super outdated. There are also basic infographics that are included, but nothing like the infographics that we see today. There are maps. Obviously, it's a social studies book, so there are maps throughout the book. At the beginnings of each chapter, there are basic political maps of the regions that show the states for each region. And then throughout each chapter, there are different maps, physical maps, resource maps, road maps, whatever the chapter's little map skill focus is. But not a lot of, graphic organizers or information organizers, anything like that. And then at the end of each section for the day, there's a worksheet that goes along with the lesson. We don't use them every day because they're not very good, and we don't want to use worksheets every day. They're supposed to be really easy worksheets, but they're actually kind of confusing for the kids, and they're not the best. So that's the curriculum's major form of formative assessment are these worksheets. And then there's, like a chapter test, which we do use, that aren't very hard. But the worksheets, we just kind of pick and choose what we're going to do. So to recreate my unit, I decided to transform the content from the unit into a Hyperdoc. And basically what a Hyperdoc is it's an interactive Google Doc that students can work through at their own pace, and it includes a lot more multimedia that really engages the kids in their learning. So the one I created isn't actually a Google Doc, it's a Google Slide, and it has lots of visuals and really engaging material that the students will get excited about, and will really engage them in their learning and just pique their interest and keep them motivated to keep going. It's a whole different way of approaching the content and incorporating the technology, but also really bringing in the visuals to all of it. So the way that I changed over from the textbook to the Hyperdoc was I replaced the majority of the text from the textbook with multimedia. There is still some text in there. I included poems. I've included an article or two, but the majority of it includes photos, photo galleries. There's videos on each slide. There's audio clips. I have an audio clip of a song. I have an audio clip of a speech by FDR. Just lots of different ways to, reach all those different modes of learning. Instead of the worksheets, there are visual based formative assessments. We have table organizers. There's an activity one day where kids have to choose a photo from the photo gallery that they've looked at and analyze why that photo that they've chosen best represents what they've learned. There's a daily collaborative feature via Padlet that the kids respond to what was the most interesting thing they learned that day, and then they can respond to each other. And then for those students who finish early, there's a whole creation activity where they create a slide. They do a little bit of research on a topic, and then they create a slide in a collaborative slide doc where they show what they've learned. So I'm going to switch over now to my actual Hyperdoc and show you in a little more detail exactly what I've created and how it will work in a classroom. Okay, so this is the Hyperdoc that I've created about the Southwest region of the United States. And it covers the geography, the history, and natural resources. Those are the like big topics. And then it also does touch on tourism, climate, and agriculture. Those are kind of just embedded, woven into the other topics there. So as we go through, you'll see there are 5 slides. It's meant to be done over 5 days, but there's only 4 content slides because there's so much on each slide that it's kind of a given that the kids aren't going to finish all of it on each day. So that last day, that 5th day, is kind of like, okay, finish up whatever you've got, and then there's an activity for those who do finish. So it's kind of, there's something there for those who do get it done, but then we're expecting not everybody is going to get it done on time. So this will be shared to all students through Google Classroom. They'll all get viewing rights to it. And then any of the documents that they need to have, there's links to make a copy of. So that's already been embedded into the doc itself. So this is day 1. Day 1 focuses on the geography, and it is just basically a breakdown of each of the 4 states that are found in the Southwest region. So as you can see, there are 4 videos right on the main slide here, and the kids can click on one of the videos and just, right on the slide, they can watch the video of each of, and they're expected to watch each of the 4 videos because each video is different and gives information about that state. So they're supposed to watch each of the 4 videos, and then each of these find out more is a link that is going to take them outside. Outside. That did that earlier too. It's a link that's going to take them to an outside site, and all the links are the same. It's taking them to National Geographic for Kids, and it's taking them to the page about that state. So here's a page about Texas, and it tells them all about Texas, the history of it, why it's called that. It gives them some, the state animal, state bird, just little tidbits about the state. And then they go back to their Hyperdoc, and they click on all the other states links, and all the pages are the same. They see all those same facts and things. And then when they're done, they're going to click here. When you're done with your research, click here. and this is going to open a Google Doc. So they're going to see this, make a copy. They're going to click make a copy, and it's going to open their daily activity. So the first thing they need to do, it says first add a comment to today's collaborative reflection Padlet questions. So they're going to click this link here, and it's going to take them to our collaborative Padlet. And this is the same Padlet that they're going to use all week. So it says day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And all they have to do is click here and add a comment about what was the most interesting thing you learned about today's explorations. It's the same question each day. And so they just add what's their most interesting thing. Close that and go back to the doc. Then they're going to fill in this table on each of the states. So you've got state capital of Arizona, abbreviation, and they can toggle back and forth on their iPad or click back and forth between links if they're on a Chromebook, and find that information back on their slide. So there's one for each state, and then when they're all done, they're going to submit this to me on Google Classroom. And that's their activity for day 1. So they're going to investigate each of these, the information about the states, and then fill in that table chart about each state in Google Docs. Day 2 is all about the Grand Canyon. And again, we have a couple videos here. This video is science related, and it talks about the science behind how the Grand Canyon was formed in terms of water erosion. This video here is from the Grand Canyon National Park, and it's kind of like a tour into the Grand Canyon. This one's a little bit longer. It's about 9 minutes long, but it's got some amazing video footage of the canyon, and it's actually a park ranger that's taking them on a tour of the canyon. It's really cool. This link here is an article from, I believe it's the Washington Post, that it's an interview with a park ranger that talks all about what it's like to be a park ranger and what their duties are. And at the end, it talks about what they need to do to become a park ranger. And it breaks it down into elementary school, middle school, high school, and college, which I thought was really neat. So they're going to read that. And then when they're done, they're going to click here, and they're going to fill out a Google form for the day. So it's kind of like a little quiz. So they're going to complete that. And then when they're done, it takes them to a link to the Padlet, and then they'll fill out the Padlet that way. And so if they finish on time, then they can log out of their slide and go into Google Expeditions, which we have downloaded on our iPads, and they can go through the Grand Canyon Google Expedition on their iPad, which they all know how to do. So that's just a little extra if they're all done for the day. Day 3 is focusing on the history, and it's all about the Dust Bowl. And this year, even, going through the textbook, the kids were really interested in this. And I did bring in some YouTube videos this year just because it's such a big concept. They can't wrap their minds around it. So what I did here is we have a whole photo gallery. So if you click this link, it takes you to pbs.org, and it's a whole photo gallery by famous photographers of photos from the Dust Bowl, and they can click and look through all these photos, and it shows down here at the bottom, gives a little sentence about it and who the photographer was. So they click through and look through all the photos. This link here takes them to a song by Woody Guthrie about the Dust Bowl. This link here takes them to a speech by FDR about the Dust Bowl. Man, we are flying all over. This is another video about the Dust Bowl. Here we have a link to a series of poems that they'll read through all about the Dust Bowl. And then when they're done, they're going to click here and make another copy of this document. And this is the Google Doc. Again, they'll have to go to their Padlet. This is where they're going to pick a photograph from that photo gallery on pbs.org, and they're going to upload the photo here into the doc. And I did say be sure to include citation by including the photographer's name. So they're going to upload the photo and include the photographer's name, and then underneath they have to explain why they think that photograph best represents the Dust Bowl. Then they're going to choose one of the poems that they read. And again, they have to explain why that poem either represents the Dust Bowl itself or what life was like during the Dust Bowl. And then they're going to submit that on Google Classroom. And that's the content for day 3. And I also included if they're really interested, there's a book that they can look for at the library. And last we have day 4, which is all about oil. So first we have an infographic right here. If we click this, that shows us all about how oil is refined, the whole process from crude oil here into all of the petrochemical outputs. And it shows the whole process of what the oil goes through to be turned into all of these different things. Then next to this infographic, we have another one that shows the different types of products that can be made from oil, from petrochemicals. So just a little graphic that shows what can be made from these petrochemicals. Then underneath these 2 infographics, we have 2 important names in oil. First, we have John D. Rockefeller. And if we click his name, it's going to take us to history.com. And there's a short little video here that we can watch that talks about his role in the oil industry. And unfortunately, it shows an ad first, but I guess that's the way things go. But students can watch this. This is just a short 4-minute video about his Standard Oil Company. And then Patio Higgins, this links to just a Fact Monster page that talks about, it's like a little biography on Patio Higgins and who he was and what he had to do with the oil industry and the discovery of the big oil discovery in 1901 at Spindletop Hill. Then I have this little target link here on the actual geyser. If you click that, it takes you to a page about the Lucas Geyser that was on Spindletop Hill. And it talks about the discovery and the invention of the Christmas tree in terms of oil, not the actual Christmas tree. And then I thought the most interesting thing was upon the discovery of oil that day on January 10th, the price of oil dropped from $2 to 3 cents per barrel. So I thought kids would think that was pretty interesting. Then we have this really interesting video. It's kind of a dramatization of the Spindletop gusher. It's about 10 minutes long, but it really shows gives a good understanding of what it was like to drill oil and to discover it. And then there's another short video here that talks about non-renewable resources, the difference between, oh no, well, this one's going to have to be changed. All of a sudden, my video doesn't work anymore. Well, we'll have to fix that. But this was a video that talked about renewable and non-renewable resources. So it looks like I'm going to have to fix that link. So then after they have looked around at all those different links and information, they're going to click here, and it's going to take them to another little Google form for the day, another little quiz type assessment. And then when they're done with this, they'll get their score, and then it will give them the link to the reflective Padlet for the day. And this form is a Google quiz form, so it will grade it automatically. So then the last slide here is the early finisher slide, and this goes with the last one with the renewable and non-renewable energies. So in the last slide, the students learned that oil is a non-renewable energy source. So this slide is kind of a science tie-in having to do with renewable energy. And what the students will do is they're going to click here first, and it's going to take them to the U.S. Department of Energy. And they're going to choose one form of renewable energy out of these 6 right here. They're gonna pick one and just do a little bit of quick research about it. Find out some, main points. And then they're gonna go back to the Hyperdoc and they're gonna go into this Google slide doc, and it's a blank slide doc. And they're going to create their own slide and present the information about the renewable energy that they chose on their slide. So they can design it however they want. They can make their slide look however they want, as long as they're showing that renewable energy information that they learned. So that's for those who finished all the rest of the information early. So that is the Hyperdoc there. It's actually 6 slides long, including the title slide, but it's only got 4 slides of actual content, and then the last slide 6 is just for the early finishers. And I will provide a link for the actual Hyperdoc so that you can get in yourself and play around with it. If you're interested in learning more about Hyperdocs, you can visit hyperdocs.co. This is a website by the coined Hyperdoc girls, and there's all sorts of information about Hyperdocs. And they have, under the resources tab, they have all different kinds of samples of Hyperdocs in every content area that you can think of. And then there's also a book about Hyperdocs. It's called the Hyperdoc Handbook. It's by these 3 Hyperdoc girls. This book is amazing. It's got all different, it explains Hyperdocs. It tells you how to make Hyperdocs. It has rubrics for assessing your Hyperdocs, and it has QR codes throughout it to access different Hyperdocs. But if before you jump on the book bandwagon, you might as well just go to the hyperdocs.co website and check that out first. So I hope you liked what I did with my unit and the Hyperdoc that I made. Please feel free to leave any comments or suggestions or criticism or questions or anything like that in your response to me. Thank you.